Hi everybody, this is Nathan here. In this video, I want to talk to you about four reasons why some people may never feel happy in life. Now, this may sound quite paradoxical. I mean, happiness can be here one moment and then it's seemingly out of reach the next. But our cultural definition of this experience tend to center around probably what you have achieved or your acquisition and the ability to constantly improve oneself or a set of circumstances. So anytime we talk about happiness, we want to really reach out to say that we are looking at whatever you have achieved and we believe that that is what is going to make us happy. But this type of happiness can be difficult for anyone to sustain due to its inconsistent nature and the stress caused by constantly striving to maintain this rather unpredictable mood swing. Now, there's another type of happiness that I want to talk to you about that is not based on acquisition or probably the achievement, but rather appreciation. Now, to be content actually is to be satisfied with who you are, where you are, and what you have. I mean, no matter how small, whatever condition in which you find yourself, whatever situation you find yourself, you're supposed to be content. Content is far more sustainable, than our popular definition of happiness. It does not require you to do much, actually, other than to appreciate and take note of what is already good. Now, even for some people, you realize that contentment is nearly as an impossibility to access because they find it so difficult. Now, they do not want to underestimate the power of trauma. I mean, they know that when you go through these are the feelings. Now, the anxiety, the depression, and other mental health disorders that impacts one's ability to access any form of happiness. Now, these disorders necessitate a higher level of treatment. Now, you know that when you have these disorders like trauma, anxiety, depression, they need a higher level of treatment, and with proper care, those who suffer from them can, often live a life full of happy and normally content moments. Now let's calm down and then look at the socio-economic certainty that plays a role. Now, what are our societal values that plays a role in us becoming happy? You realize that it is very hard to feel content when there is uncertainty, in meeting basic human needs, especially like food, clothing, and probably shelter. Now, when you don't have these three things, it's quite difficult for you to really feel a bit of content or even feel happy at all. But however, from working with clients of different and diverse backgrounds for so many years in therapy, I've seen certain behaviors pattern that emerge that significantly limit one's ability to find contentment in their life, no matter how much they have or achieve. You could realize that there are people who have achieved a lot. They have amassed wealth. They have a lot of houses and vehicles, but yet contentment and happiness has actually evaded them. Now, when you constantly compare, that's my first point. When you constantly compare yourself to others, now, whoever said comparison is a thief of joy couldn't have been wiser. Because, why am I saying this? It is difficult to feel, satisfied with everyday life when constantly looking at it through the lens of other people's experiences. Now, you sit and look, you say, oh, this guy has so much. How come I have so little? This guy had so much money. How come I have so little money? Now, when you start doing that, there's no way that you are going to feel any contentment in your life. With comparison so readily available at one's fingertips through our devices. Now, you pick your phone and you get on social media and you see people brandishing money. You see people riding in Porsche cars. You see people living in magnificent homes and all that. Then the comparison behavior starts, in your trend. But I have found that comparison that fosters discontentment always look at those who have more and achieve higher levels of success. Now, what do I mean? Those who have more you know, and they've achieved some level of success, we always seem to compare ourselves to them, and then we'll start thinking, now these guys have more, how come I have so little? And that immediately, lowers down your contentment temperature, and then you realize that you start going down and you start feeling sorry for yourself, you feel sad for yourself, and you don't know what else to do. But rarely compares with those who may not have or do as much, and you realize that those who do not have, just as you also have, you realize that when you compare with them, you also feel much happier, because you say, hey, here's somebody that I have a little more than, and for that matter, I can feel content. Now, what do I want to say here? Because the spectrum of comparison is infinite. I mean, you can't end it. There's always somebody who has more than you also have. There will always be examples of, former leading to pervasive unhappiness. If someone is constantly looking at life as a less than experience, then you are constantly always going to feel discontentment. Now, when you are aware of this behavior, you try to balance yourself up, by knowing that there will always be somebody who may have more than you do. Now, when you learn to intentionally stop and ask yourself, now, what is good in my life right now? Now, ask yourself, the fact that you have life is one big good thing that you should be happy about, and get to know that, hey, I may not have this building or this money or this multiples of cars, but I have life. When I wake up, I can see, I can breathe, I can move around, my members are working. Now, this is something you should be far more content about than just looking at what some other people have. You get it? Now, the next thing that I need you to do is to try to externalize the blame. Now, people who cannot see or take accountability for the ways they have contributed to the conflict in their lives often suffer in relationships, especially close ones where challenge, are inevitable. Now, these people feel that things happen to them. That's what they feel. They feel that, look, all the world is against them, and they do not have an awareness of how they may have triggered or instigated a situation that has left them feeling unhappy. Most of the time, these things that they experience in their lives are things that they have created, and that is what is hitting them in their life. This perspective actually often leaves people feeling helpless. You may think, Charlie, I can't do anything about my situation, so this is it. Let me accept it. But I'm here to tell you that it is always possible to come out of the situation in which you find yourself. When you see how you are comparing yourself to others, you must be able to speak to yourself and then, cut it short and look inside you and see what God has done for you and the blessings that He has bestowed upon you. And when you get to really acknowledge that, you come to realize that there is far more that you have than any other person. Now, the third point that I want to talk about is that you need to resist acceptance. Now, what do I mean? Practicing acceptance in adverse circumstances is integral to coming to terms with difficult, unexpected life events and moving through them. Now, you come to terms, you accept it. You see, there's something that is unfortunate that is happening to you, but you have accepted that situation, and you feel that is your lot, and you want to go through them. So you need to practice resisting that acceptance. You end up saying, so why did this happen to me? Why am I going through these? These are questions that we likely will not find adequate answers to at this moment. Now, although acceptance can happen, that's one thing I want to tell you. Although acceptance can happen after processing the event, asking how, what, question, what can help. I mean, you bring people closer to it. You keep on asking, why me? Why not the other person? I mean, what can I take? Well, one thing you rather need to know is that find out that negative thing that happened to you. What is it that you can take from it? What is it that you can learn from it? What is it that you can derive so that it will never happen again? Now, when you start doing this, you realize that you still feel content even in the situation you are in, and even go ahead to even be happy. Now, you need to leave, distractions behind you. Now, most people struggle with some level of distraction for the same reason that comparison is a pervasive issue. Distraction instantly, normally, removes one out of the present moment, which creates a rapid thought switch. Now, what do I mean? Distraction is such that it moves you out of the present situation that you are in, and it causes you to focus onto another thing. Now, don't be distracted. Whatever you are going through at that particular moment, I want you to focus on that situation and then learn from it so that it will never happen again. And then ask yourself, how am I going to get out of this situation? The moment you focus and you concentrate and you are able to figure out how you are coming to get out, you realize that your mood will suddenly change, because now you have a solution. Now you know where you are going. Now you know what you are going to do to get out of the situation. And I can tell you that if you can practice these situations, you'll be able to always find yourself in contentment, and you can even go ahead to always be happy, irrespective of the situation in which you find yourself in. Go ahead, practice these things, and I can assure you that your life will be transformed and you always find happiness while happiness is eluding others. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye bye.